Denise Roche.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise to take a call for the Greens on Part 4 of the Health and Safety Reform Bill. I too want to speak, sir, about the supplementary order paper and the names of Ian Lees Galloways, and also the one in the name of Martima Fox, both of which are dealing with clause 167B of this part of the bill, sir. I just want to remind the House that last week was really it was frequently quite emotional in the House, and I think that was actually a rational response to the grief that is still being felt by the forestry families and the Pike River families who were in the gallery. And I think the fact that we are discussing a bill that has a huge impact on the safety and lives of families, of workers, and that these people were here wanting to see an improvement in the existing law, I think it was right that we gave them the due respect and treated it with the tragedy that it kind of deserved. I'm mentioning it now, sir, because it's this part of the bill, clause 167, that deals with private prosecutions. And I just wanted to note that some of those families can't be here today, but it was Selena, who was the mum of Iramiha Paraima, that I spoke to last week, who I think had the most impact on me, really, about wanting to see a bill that would keep people like her son at work safe. So her case, or the case of her son, who was killed at work, 19-year-old boy, was killed at work, that case was deemed to, the WorkSafe regulator decided not to prosecute on it, as we've heard. But the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions decided that they would, and they have been supported by unions and actually by ordinary families across New Zealand, so that they could take that case on. Now, sir, under the existing health and safety laws, my understanding is that the regulator has a period of time, I think it's around about 6 months, that they can decide whether to prosecute in these circumstances, as in the case with Iramiha, and they can apply for an extension. And then when they have decided that they won't prosecute, there is only 1 month for a private prosecution to be taken, and invariably there is a call for an extension of time. Now, the change in the bill, in some ways, can be seen as a more positive step, in that it does say that there is up to 2 years that WorkSafe has to examine cases, severe cases especially, and decide whether they will take a prosecution. But it may, while giving extra time to WorkSafe, it may make it harder for the families to be able to decide to take a prosecution. Look, I do note in the bill that there is a clause that says that you can go for outside of time if there's fresh evidence or so there are some mitigating factors there. But I believe, and the Greens believe, and we actually support Ian Lees Galloway's supplementary order paper, to give a 6-month period of time for families to decide, families or other persons, in this case could well be the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions, again, to decide whether they should be taking a private prosecution, sir. And I think that's reasonable, given how the amount of investigation that has to happen, and then also the work that needs to be done to get a private prosecution ready. My understanding is that 6 months is not an unreasonable expectation to give Mr. Chair.
Denise Roche.
Thank you. It's not an unreasonable time. Should Ian Lees-Galloway's SOP fail, we would of course support Marama Fox's SOP, which actually is basically just reduces that time to 3 months. But I have to say, in terms of a huge win for the Māori Party, no, I don't see it as a massive step in the right direction. I mean, it's good effort, but unless the government actually agrees to it, then I don't see that it's a huge win. And I do note that the government also has, the ministers there, has a supplementary order paper for this part as well, which I think is actually just around ensuring that people can receive notice around prosecution or being notified that there is action being taken, and they can receive it by mail or within 7 days, and then it will be deemed that they have received it, which, you know, honestly, do we need that kind of massive amount of effort put into such a simple little thing when there are huge gaps in this bill that really need to be addressed and that aren't being addressed? So we'll be supporting these parts of the bill. I want to reiterate that we do continue to have concerns, and we won't be supporting the bill in its entirety. But we certainly do have concerns around the offences and the inequities and the sentencing of prosecutions from offences that may have occurred with the mishmash of, you know, criminal law and employment law. But I believe that if we, as a House, can agree to support Ian Lees-Galloway's supplementary order paper, then we would have got some movement. And it would be really good to see that, because I think, as the leader of the opposition said today, or in the last couple of days anyway, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to get it right. And so far we haven't.
Chris Hipkins.